So thanks for joining me, Tushar Shah from Centrum Group. Tushar, you presented at my Wandsworth property meet some time ago. I think it was July this year, certainly a few months ago. I'm really delighted that you're presenting at my Central London property meet coming up on the 15th of this month.
Yes.
So, well, and it's easy to get to as well. It's located yards away from Piccadilly Circus, the venue. Rather than me rattle on, it'd be great if you could just explain to people your business structure because you've got 6 different businesses you've created over the last 7 years. I hope I got the stats right in that.
Yeah, I think we're losing a bit of count as well. Thank you for that, Brendan. So my name is Tushar, and I'm a co-founder and co-director of Centrum Group, and it's been what I would call a roller coaster of a journey over the last 10 years. We've set up a variety of businesses, ranging from medical tourism to photography, media. But our main businesses are within the healthcare, which is looking after the elderly and people with learning difficulties in their own home. And then we've also got a substantial buy-to-let portfolio under Centrum Property Management. But then over the last 2-3 years, we've really been focusing on a joint venture, which is Glenarm and Chester Developments. And this is using investors to either find development opportunities, develop and sell those out, or to actually acquire properties, refurbish them, and then refinance those out. So that's been one of our key focuses over the last 2 years as well. So we've grown and developed quite a sizable business over the last 10 years, and it reflects back to maybe a bit the slight edge or the compound effect, taking daily actions and small steps to get to where you want to. So and it always comes back to one of my favorite quotes, which Tony Robbins said was, most people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. And when we look back at what we've done over the last 10 years, we think, wow, it's been a fantastic and quite an amazing journey. But we also sit there and think, wow, we've still got so much more we want to do and achieve over the next 10, 20 years as well.
Sure. So what's been, you mentioned the Edge, which is, I think Jeff Elston, is that right? Or yeah. And you mentioned the likes of Tony Robbins as well, so I'm sure that's a huge inspiration for you. But what's been your tipping point to get you to the next 1%? So what do you do on a daily basis to get yourself to that next 1%, the compound factor, as you say? Because you've had amazing success. You've had crowdfunding from one of the largest UK organized, well, it's not UK only, but Funding Circle.
Yeah.
That's for your health business. You've also had funding from Crowd Property. People would possibly know one of the co-founders of that more, Simon Suchi, who runs the Property Investor Network, PIN Network. So you've had huge success in raising finance in the last couple of years in 2 different sectors. What's been that tipping point? How have you achieved it? And of course, you're going to explain more of this on the 15th of September as well.
No, I think there's a lot of things that contribute to a person's success. And I think for us, one has always been the mindset and focusing on developing yourself every day. But I think one of the things that I think every entrepreneur or anyone today faces is actually we don't have the time to do what we want to do. And I think the one thing that I've learned is you can't really manage time. So you need to focus on what your key priorities are. And one of the things that we do is what we call the 90-91 rule. A lot of people talk about it. The recent one came from Robin Sharma in one of his podcasts. And it's something that we do regularly, which is that we may have a 12-month plan, which we break down into a quarterly plan, so 90 days. And then for 90 days, every day for 90 minutes, that's the first thing that I will do in the morning. And that will be the one thing that's focused towards my goal. So before I check my emails, before I check my Facebook, I'll do 90 minutes focusing on a marketing or deal or investor meeting or presentation or something like that that's going to help me achieve my goals. And I think when you do that, it actually makes a massive difference to your success over a period of time, because doing 90 minutes in a week actually equivalents to one day actually focusing on your high priority goals. So I think that for me has been the biggest influence into our success especially over the last 4 to 5 years, because there's so much to do, but if you don't focus on what your key priorities are, you're always going to be dictated by people's needs and their diaries. So if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, plan to fail, which is what Jim Rohn used to say. So I think that's one of the key things that we've done.
Sure. In terms of your property deals which you've done, particularly focusing on the one which was accessed from Simon's platform, Crowd Property,
Yeah.
Can you just run through what the property was and a little bit about the numbers?
Yeah, sure. So this was an interesting property because it had been on the market. I'd actually seen that property 12 months prior to that, and it was a probate. So it was actually the lady's grandfather had passed away, and they were trying to sell this property. It was in a very tired looking state. It hadn't been any work's been done for the last 20-30 years on the property. But for whatever reason, it sold when we looked at it, but 12 months later, it came back on the market. So we went and actually did a viewing of this property. Now, one of the things that you always learn as part of all training is try and develop a rapport with the vendor. Now, interestingly, when it came back on the market, the agent was actually based in Manchester. So it was actually the son that was doing the viewings of the property. So I went in and I spoke to him and developed a rapport, and really understood that actually they'd been messed around by the local estate agents and this property had just not sold, and they were looking to exit it because they needed the money for a business venture and I think clear some debts. So we sat down and we went through the numbers, and effectively we came to a review, and I showed them what we were doing in the area, and I said what we'd like to do is actually exchange contracts and then have 3 months to actually get this refurbished into a HMO. And that, surprisingly, with a little bit of to and fro, they actually agreed to this. So it was on the market for about 260. We secured it at 215, and we exchanged contracts. And we only had to put a 5% deposit down. But what was fantastic is we had 3 months to go in and re-gut the property and refurbish it to a 7-bed HMO. Now, we couldn't exactly make it 7-bed because we needed to get the planning. But Crowd, we had the valuation in, and it showed that when it was completed, the end value would be around 330,000. So Crowd then lent us the money so that we were able to pay him in 3 months' time to 215,000 to clear the debt. I'm just going to switch my phone off. Sorry, it's a problem when you put it on silent, it still vibrates. Sorry about that. So the advantage of this deal is that when Crowd came in to fund the deal at 215,000. The property was actually tenanted, and it was making at that time a cash flow of £3,000 a month. So actually, even though people will say, well, Crowd is quite expensive at 10% plus the arrangement fees, it actually wasn't, because I personally wasn't contributing to that. It was actually tenanted, and the cash flow was building in, the cash flow was paying for the cost of the finance, which was really positive for us. And then while it was funded by Crowd, I was then able to apply for planning for the 7th bedroom. And once that came in and the HMO license came in, I was then able to look at the market and see what the best HMO finance option was, and then refinance out on that basis. So I think what this allowed me to do, a bank wouldn't have funded me at a delayed and exchange completion. They would have said, yes, you'd have to put £215,000 plus the deposit and then all the refurbishment costs. The way we structured it was I only had to pay for the refurbishment cost, which was what I borrowed off an investor. And actually, because when I completed, it was tenanted, the actual tenants were paying the cost of the finance and all the monthly costs. So actually, overall, it was a very good deal for us.
Sure. I know you've got a relationship with Simon. You've met Simon before. what made you go for crowd property? What advice? Because your expertise is funding circle, crowd property. Funding circle was for the healthcare business.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's looking at crowdfunding, how to find the right crowdfunding organization?
Yeah, so I think there's a number of things. I think, there's a variety of finance options, and I think the fantastic thing after Brexit is that banks are awash with money, and for the right deals and the right developer or landlord, they'll be happy to lend on that. So I think the deals are out, the finance is out there. It's finding the right deal and then finding the right solution. The reason that this worked for us was that there was a number of things. We were actually in the early stages of Blenheim and Chester developments, and one of the things that one of the benefits that I perceived from Crowd, which we actually found from Funding Circle, was actually you are then put in front not just of the bank, but in front of 1,000 investors. And I think that helps your credibility and helps your exposure. And we've actually found that following on from Crowd, whenever we've gone to people and presented funding and deals for investment, they said, yeah, no, we invested in your deal in Crowd, we liked what you did, we saw what you did, and we'd be happy to lend you and invest in this deal. So I think that was one of the benefits, which was an intangible benefit, but one that we knew would add value to our company and our goals. So I think that was one of the factors that we perceived to be really important. I think the second factor for us was that Crowd was going to fund that whole £215,000 of the acquisition price. So we only had to pay for the refurbishment. And we also then knew we had the time to get the planning and to get a long-term finance deal in place. Now, I think this is one important thing for any HMO investor is look at your financing costs. Because yes, I could have gone to Kent Reliance and got a 15% mortgage and geared up highly. But the problem with that is when you add the arrangement fees and you add the cost of finance, in 2 years' time, you're going to have to repay those arrangement fees. And effectively, you're paying another 4 to 6K of arrangement fees, legals, and valuations. So what Crowd allowed me to do was actually put a long-term finance on this HMO, so that once it was financed, I don't have to worry about it. I know for the next 20 years, this is on a long-term finance. It's cash flowing really well, and I've pulled out. I've just left 25K within the deal, which gives me a really fantastic return. So I think those were the two benefits for us that we realised by using crowd funding on this.
Tushar, I could easily spend hours with you, days with you, because well, you're an award-winning business owner, not just property. Of course, the crowdfunding deal through Crowd Property.
Yeah.
But you also award-winning through your healthcare business as well. But I don't want to delay you any more. As I say, it's quite amazing to speak with you. And people are going to have the you're not in London very often because you're based out west. So it's a great opportunity to hear you present. What would you say your main focus of your presentation will be on the 15th of September?
So I think I was thinking about this, and I think when we've looked back, the last 12 months has been a massive roller coaster in the property world. I think this time last year, our developments were coming onto the market and they were being sold within 2 weeks at prices that way above prices that we anticipated. And then following on that from November last year, we've just seen a massive change within the property market, from changes in terms of taxation on financing costs, to stamp duty costs, to Brexit, to a whole variety of things. But I think that challenging environment has actually created significant opportunities for investors that can adapt and change their style. And what I'm going to be talking about is how we've adapted our business model from both a buy-to-let and a development perspective. And I'll be talking about that. I'll also be talking about one of our new deals that we've secured. It's a care home, so it's actually combining our property and our healthcare business together. And we'll be talking about how we anticipate that to develop, give us a £2 million profit, and hopefully a gross profit of £400,000 a year once we've got that up and running. So that's a really exciting development project, and it's something that will give people an idea of where there is an opportunity within the care sector, but also how you can structure those deals to get real long-term value and equity. So that's one thing that I'll be presenting, as well as some of our existing deals, which are very good to get high cash flow and get your cash out in the future.
Sure. As I say, huge thanks for you joining me this morning. As I say, it's great for you to come along to the 15th of September meet. I understand there's some people who won't be able to come to the 15th of September because it's a morning meet. So what's the best way to connect with you if they can't get to the meet in September? Is there an email address, website, phone number, Facebook, LinkedIn? What would be your preference?
So I think I'm on LinkedIn. So if you search for Tushar Shah Centrum Group, you'll get my LinkedIn profile. So that's a good way of connecting with me. The other thing is our development company has a website, blenheimandchester.co.uk. So if you'd like to get onto that, see what we've been up to, and also drop us an email, hello@blenheimandchester.co.uk. I'll also tell people why we've called the company Blenheim and Chester, because that's a nice story. Whenever we say Blenheim and Chester, they say that's a very different and interesting name that you've come out with. But I'll show you why we've come to that and show you a little bit about the history behind that.
Sure. Just to let the listeners know who can make it though on the 15th of September, it's easy to remember the domain. It's Central London Morning Property Meet September.eventbrite.com. So Central London Morning Property Meet September.eventbrite.com. As I said, the venue is yards away from Piccadilly Circus, so easy to get to. Is at the Grosvenor Casino on the second floor. Beautiful function room overlooking the Haymarket area of London in the West End. Easy to get to from Charing Cross and those coming from the south particularly. So huge thanks for you joining me this morning, and I can't wait to see you on the 15th of September.
Thanks very much, Brendan. See you on the 15th.
Thank you.
Bye.